Well, hello. Welcome to Hold and Modify, YouTube's most poorly produced, underproduced Amiga channel. And today we have Copy of Workbench. Yay!
This computer will rule the world.
So in the last video, we discussed the CD32, which was was technically the last Amiga ever made. Yes, the Amiga 4000 Tower did come out, but there's debate that Commodore themselves maybe didn't sell any, and it was SCOM that sold them. Although some have said that Commodore did actually sell a couple before they actually went bankrupt. But generally, the CD32 was the last Commodore Amiga type product. So what was the first Amiga product? The Amiga 500? That's what I thought. For years, I thought the Amiga 500 was the first Amiga product. And then one day I walked into a local computer store, this tiny little store that actually sold PCs. But for some reason, they had a computer on display that somebody that worked there had brought in, and I didn't recognize it, but what I did recognize was this. The Amiga logo. And sure enough, the Amiga 1000, the first Amiga. So let's go ahead and check out the Amiga 1000. Now, something you need to know, let's go onto the side here. Let's flick the power switch. Let me get the camera close to the monitor. I'll try to be quiet. So I don't know if you heard that, but there's a little startup chime. Doodle-doodle-doot. And that startup chime is to let you know that you need to insert a kickstart disk. What's a kickstart disk? Well, that's the actual Amiga ROM that runs the 1000. So the Amiga 500 and all the Amiga computers afterwards have kickstart ROMs on the motherboard. The 1000 does not. Its kickstart ROM is actually on a floppy disk. So you have to actually put this in, it reads it, gives you a kickstart, reboots, and now you can put in your Workbench disk, your operating system, or your game, or whatever else you want to do, right? So here we go. Let's go ahead and put this in. So this is a disk I made of the Kickstart. This is Kickstart 1.3, by the way. So we'll put that in. It'll acknowledge that you put a Kickstart disk in there. And it'll go ahead and it'll start reading that Kickstart in. And boom. Now it says, hey, here's a familiar screen for any of you original Amiga owners with 500s and 2000s. Yeah, it wants a Workbench disk. So now you can pop out this Kickstart disk. And here's the important thing. As long as you don't turn the power off on this Amiga 1000, you don't need to worry about the Kickstart disk ever again. Just don't turn the power off. You can do a reboot, you can do a warm reboot, a warm reset, and you'll be fine. But if you do turn the power off, you're done. You're going to have to put the Kickstart back in. All right, so as you can see here, we have got the Amiga 1000, the stock Amiga 1000, booted up and into Workbench 1.3. I went ahead and wrote out a Kickstart 1.3 disk and then a Workbench 1.3. I am aware there's also a extras disk for 1.3. And I did 1.3 because this is the one I know. I guess 1.2 would be even more OG. This 1000 has the memory expansion in the front. It does not have a battery and doesn't really have anything else. It does have an extra floppy drive. But one of the first things I like to do, as you can see here, this is the default color scheme. Keep in mind it was the 80s, and, being colorful and standing out was a thing back then. It was kind of like a big deal back then, maybe even more so than it is today. But the orange and blue thing never worked for me. So one of the first things I like to do is go in and change that. And one of the cool things you could do, and one of the features of the operating system, something for you to do back then if you didn't have anything else, is let's just play with the preferences. And you could go in here and design, with the mouse pointer app, you could go ahead and design your own mouse pointer if you wanted to and get all fancy. But now today I'm just going to do what I did back then, which is neutralize. Yes, you already know where I'm going. Neutralizing the entire operating system. I don't completely kill it. I like to give it a little bit of a blue in certain areas like that. I want to be able to see highlighting a little better. But yeah, and let's bring up this a little bit. I don't like it to go to hard black. There we go. So that's the more neutralized workbench. I feel better already. Actually, that blue I did looks a little sketch. It looks a little sickly. Let's maybe go back and fix that. So this blue here, yeah, that looks a little. Yeah, we need to go lean more towards the lighter color. Okay, that's a little better. So yes, I like my workbench more neutral. You know what? That's a great thing about these systems. You can customize them however you want. And I just did that. So as you can see in the base workbench 1.3 disk, and again, this does have some more things in it than the 1.2 would have had. You get our good buddy, Notepad. You get Say, so we can listen to the Amiga talk, and let's. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear that. I know you've heard it a million times, but yeah, there's a Notepad. Isn't that nice? Look at it, it's looking for fonts. Notepad is looking for fonts. It is ripping through that floppy disk right now. Goodness. Okay. Well, there's Notepad. But look, I mean, you got, this is kind of cool. I mean, they actually give you a fairly usable Notepad program. I mean, I remember using this to do homework on in school. Crazy. And then I had a printer hooked up to it. Now, it wasn't a 1000 I had back then. My first was a 500. And let me see what happens with Say here. I thought this would have been on the extras disc. I guess that's how out of touch I am. So you're probably not going to be able to hear this. Let's see. Maybe if I'm really quiet. I really like this 1000 keyboard. This is really nice. Oh, I should probably learn how to spell next. All right, here we go.
Can you hear this?
Well, could you? That's interesting. I'm doing Shift ? And I'm getting an underscore. Is that telling about this keyboard? What does that mean? How about one of you leave that in the comments? I'm hitting right shift ? button, question slash, and I'm getting an underscore. Let me use left shift. Same thing. Left or right shift is giving me an underscore. Is this a conspiracy keyboard?
Hello, I am the Amiga 1000. Who are you?
There you go. I didn't even put the question mark in there, and it still formed it as a question. Who are you? Interesting. Okay, so that's our first mystery. Why does my question mark not work when I use the shift button? How about other things that use shift? Oh, that's really bizarre. Is this like I wonder if, you know what? I know you're all screaming at me right now, aren't you? This workbench floppy I downloaded is probably using a key map that's different. It's probably using another country's key map. All right, so yes, it was the key map. And I had to set key map equal USA, and my keyboard returned to normal. So this is going to be a short video. I just wanted to show you a brief overview of the amazing Amiga 1000. And this is the first Amiga. This was the very first computer that came out. It had 256K of RAM, and you could put an expansion module on the front of it that gave you another 256 for a total of 512K with a 68,000 Motorola CPU, 4-channel sound, 4,096 colors. It was really a revolutionary machine when it came out in the mid-80s. And I'm playing a Black Lotus demo in the background here now because my point is that I've kind of given you this clunky video showing you a base Amiga 1000 and the fact that, it has to boot off of a Kickstart disk first, and then you can put in the Workbench disk and boot Workbench or a video game Unlike newer Amigas like the 500 and the 2000 and the 3000 and the 4000 and the 1200 and the 600, where they all came with kickstarts, right? The Amiga 1000, you actually had to put a floppy in it to boot the ROM so that you could then boot the operating system. It's crazy when you think about that, really. It really is. But that's where it all started. It all started with the 1000, and this demo is playing in the background, and this is where it went. This is where this computer system evolved to very quickly. And I know this is a newer demo we're watching in the background, but my point is it's still being played on these systems, and the 1000 is just special in that it's where it all began. And I hope my really, brief, just kind of overview of what it was like to first fire it up and use it. I mean, it seems really limiting by today's standards, but it was inspirational and there was so much potential. The first Deluxe Paint program that came out, the first amazing games that came out for it, and the first music programs that came out for it just made us think, wow, a computer can be so much more than what we have seen. The Windows PCs were just boring and drab. Apple did impress us with the Macintosh especially. There was a lot of potential there and piqued our interest, but then this Amiga came out and just blew us away with all it can do. And as an example, yeah, this demo running in the background is where eventually it would go. It would go there pretty quickly. So I hope you've enjoyed my brief overview and just kind of checking out this 1000. There's a lot of great videos on YouTube about the 1000 if you want a deeper tech dive, but I just wanted to give you the short version so you can check it out, and thank you all once again for watching.